All right, so today I made a UI that's going to flip through a deck of Uno cards. So of course I made the deck of Uno cards. And I thought that'd be pretty cool. If you want, and it shuffles them too. So if you want to get a card game going or something, you're gonna need to know how to do these things. So let's go ahead and get a fresh world and get started with that. All right, so I got my fresh world here. I'm gonna go to starter GUI and then screen GUI. I'm gonna make a frame. So we got a frame right here. And this is going to be your UI that you can do your deck stuff on. Make it as big as you want. I'm going to call this card table. So card table, and then I'll do an FRM just to know that it's a frame component. And then on the card table, let's go ahead and get some image labels, right? We don't have to click on these. There we go. Maybe move that to the 100 mark here. There we go. And I'll move this up a little bit. That looks like a card. Control D. That's good. So we have one that's going to be our deck. I'll call this deck LBL for label. And I'm going to call this the used pile, or I'll just say used LBL. Cool. Oh, there's a lowercase L in there. I just want to be consistent. Capital L. Cool beans. All right, now I'm going to get a button so I could do a card flip. You probably will use like a deal button or something like that for your game, but this is a good starting point. We'll call this flip button. Cool. Let's go ahead and change some stuff on it. Let's make the color a little different so you can see it. I'll make that purple, purplish. And may as well change the font since we're here. B for bangers. Here's the text. Let's change that to flip. And I'll put two greater than signs. It looks like there's arrows. Let's see what else we need to do. I'm going to make it text scaled to make the text bigger. Cool. Now I want this to look like the back of an Uno card, like a deck of Uno cards actually. And these are going to be the fronts of the different cards in the deck. And we're going to change this programmatically. We're actually going to just paste in the URL for this one. So let's go to the home toolbox. And I looked under images, but there's not a lot of Uno card images. So I did models. I looked under models. So card, I'll say Uno cards. Uno cards. And this one right here, I like the back of that card. Let me give him a thumbs up since I'm using his card. And then down here, I like the fronts of these. So somebody made a model with all the different cards. That's pretty cool. Did I give him a thumbs up? Let's give him a thumbs up. Boom. Cool. All right. So updating this image label is going to be easy when you have the model. There's decals on here, right? So we have two. We have the logo and we have the reverse. I think I want logo. Let me try that. Go to your texture on your decal. Control C. Now go down to your deck label and we'll paste it under image. There we go, image. There's a placeholder there. Control V. There we go. We got a little looks like the back of an Uno card. Presumably a whole deck of Uno cards. We don't know. It's two-dimensional, right? And let's just take a look at what we're going to have over here. So let's start with one. I'm going to select one of these ones. I'm going to hit the Alt button and then click on it so that I get the part that I just clicked on. All right, so there's two decals here. One is the back, and I don't like the back. I checked it out. That's 741. So whichever one's not 741 is the front. There we go. Control C. Let's look at our GUI, our used label. Go down to image and paste that in there to see what we got. Boom. All right, cool. Notice there's no colors. That is a good thing because now we can change the color programmatically, meaning we don't need the images for every one of these colored cards, right? That saves us a lot of time actually. So we can change the color. I'm not going to use the color 3 here. I played around with that. I'm going to use the background color. Let's make it like purple or something. Well, that'll match our button. There we go. Something that's not in the game. So when I change it, you're going to know that I changed it. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And we can change those colors for the 4 different colors we got. Yeah, 5 actually, if you count the black ones down here. Cool beans. All right, let's get started and doing some coding here. Go to card table frame, and we'll put a local script on here. And I'm going to call this, I'll just call this card script. Card script. There we go. And we're going to need some variables, right? We're going to need our flip button, script.parent dot, because that's the card table, flip button, there it is. And let's get our unused, or our used label, that's it, the used label, script.parent used label. And then let's make that invisible when we start. So used label visible equals false. All right, and now we want to change what this card looks like by swapping out the URIs. URI is Universal Resource Indicator. It's consistent in all programming languages. That's what it's called. You should know it because if you're going to do computer science. But anyway, let's get this URI right here. I think I still have it in the buffer, but I'm going to copy it just in case. Control C. I'm going to put it after this variable. I'm going to say oneUri. So this is a Universal Resource Indicator for the image for the one card, right? And let's do a couple of these, right? So we'll say twoUri equals, and then we don't know what it is, so let's go get it. Hit an Alt, click, open that part, and that's the back. There we go, that's the one we want. Control C, boom, and we'll do one more, right? So local threeUri, yeah, let's get a 3. Here's a 3. Hit the Alt button so we can select inside of a model. There we go, open this up. And that is the back also. 741 is the back. I just happen to know that because I checked earlier. There we go. Control C. We're going to get the one that ends in 300. And we'll paste that there. Cool. So now we have 3 different URIs. We're going to build everything we need using just 3 URIs. And then I actually went through and got all of them. And I'll just put that in the description so you don't have to painfully go through and copy them. All right. What else do we need? We need an index. We're going to call this top card IDX so that we know where the position in the deck is of the top card. So when we flip it, we're going to start with 1. That makes sense, right? And then we're going to get a collection of cards, right? And let me do this local cards. And then don't forget your equal sign. I don't know what I was thinking. There we go. And the cards are going to have multiple values, or multiple key value pairs, right? So we'll say value. I just picked that because I thought name was a little bit too close to a property that we have in Roblox. And I'm going to just say 1. We should probably use it, probably say description there. All right, so then we'll do URI equals, well, here we have this URI right here. It's a variable. We can make that a value of our card. Whoops. There we go, comma. Let's do a couple of these. We'll do 3. And once again, I'll paste all of them in there when we're done with the video in the description. Right, so you don't have to go through and do all these. But you should do a couple just to follow along. So we got the 2URI. We got the 3URI here. There we go. Make that a 3. Cool beans. And you can keep that comma there, or you can get rid of it. It's at the end, so it doesn't really matter. And I want to have a variable for the number of cards, right? And because this is actually an array, right? There's no key value pairs for each element. There's only key value pairs inside as each element, right? So each card is a key value pair. And the reason I'm mentioning that, you might be like, I have no idea what you're saying. We can use this £sign if we just have values in here with no key value pairs. So if you do it like that, you could use the £sign. If the £sign doesn't work, you probably don't have that structure. All right, so let's go ahead and do a local function flip card. And remember, we made the used pile invisible when we started. So I'm going to say, or use label, visible. If visible equals false, then let's make visible equal true. So double equals is comparison, single equal is assignment. So we're checking to see if it is in fact false. If it is, let's make it true. All right, and there's not a lot of code in this, right? So a lot of explaining. That's probably a little long-winded. Let's go ahead and do update our image when we're doing our flip, right? So we have our use label image equals, we have our cards array, right? We have our top card index, which is now equal to 1. So it's going to, if we just start, it's going to point here. And then, since we want the URI of our image, we're going to use the URI property. We're going to use that right there. It's going to update our image. It's going to be cool. All right, and then once we do that, we're going to increment our card by 1. So that plus equals just adds a 1 to top card index. All right, and now let's just make sure if the top card index exceeds the number of cards, then let's just make it 1 again. So we're going to go back to the beginning. Cool. And maybe, you know what we should do? When we get to the end, let's make the deck invisible. That's a good idea. So let's do that. Let's do a local. Let's get a deck label. Right? Script.parent deck label. And then when we get to the end here, we'll say deck label visible equals false. Cool. And then when we go to start over again, we want to make sure that turns true. So let's just go ahead and do this. Right? And then we'll make the deck label. If it's visible equals false, equals false, then we'll make it true again. All right, so let's try it. Oh, you know what we got to do? We got to call our flip button. We got to catch our event on our flip button. So we have our flip button, and we have an activated event. When you click it, we're going to connect that to flip card. Cool. We're almost done. We don't have that much more to go. All right, so I'm going to hit my flip button. Boom, there it is. 1, 2, 3. Ah, look at that. We're at the end of the deck. That disappeared. When we click it again, this starts at the beginning and this reappears. That's pretty cool. But we need more cards and we need the actual colors. We're not setting our colors. This is that one that I just pasted in there to show you the background. All right, so let's get some colors first. That's the first thing I want to do. Let's put variables for the colors under the URIs. So I'm going to say blue, color 3, from RGB. I know RGBs, I don't know HSEs, right? So blue is what? 0. Here you can go like this. Then it doesn't really matter if you know it or not, right? Just click the button. Boom, blue. Is that good blue? I think that's a good blue. All right, and then we'll have red, color 3, from RGB, and red is 255, 0, and 0. And then yellow, color 3, from RGB, that's 255, 255, and 0. So you can see what color you got selected there. See that yellow? And what else? We have a green in there, right? Green equals color 3, from RGB, 0, 255, 0, and then black, right? Right, for our wild cards and stuff, right? And that's just 0, 0, 0. Where's my 0? There's a 0, 0, 0. Cool. So how are we going to implement that into our cards? Well, we're going to have a color property, right? A color key. And I'll say blue, right? So we can do that. Let's do that for 3 of them. And then let's just add 3 more elements to our array with different colors. So I put a comma at the bottom here. I'm going to copy these. And then let's paste some more values in. Let's make these like red. There we go. Red, red, red. Cool. And now, how do you make it show up on the card? Down here on our flip card, when we set our image, well, it's going to be very similar. Instead of image, we're going to do background color 3. Instead of URI, we're going to pick color, right? Color. There you go. Cool, let's try it. There we go, blue, 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 red, red, red. Nice. All right, so what else do we want to do? Let's shuffle the deck, right? You're going to need a shuffle if you're going to do card stuff. So we'll say local function shuffle. And this is going to be a Fisher-Yates shuffle, right? So, because we want to really randomize it. We are going to get a random number generator, random.new. And if you want the random number generator gives you a sequence of random numbers, but it might give you the same one over and over. So what you can do is you can put a seed value in, and I'm going to use the tick. That'll change every millisecond, and it's been doing that for a very long time. Cool. So you'll get a new sequence every time that's called. All right, and now I'm going to do a for loop. So for I equals the number of elements. You know what? I'm not going to use cards directly. I'm going to use this ARR for array. I'm going to pass in an array here. So when I call this shuffle, I'm going to pass this variable. I'm going to pass cards into this variable. This variable is going to get here in my for loop. So we are doing cards, but we might want to shuffle other things, other tables. So I'm making it general. I'm going to go down to 2, not 1, and you're going to see why in a second. I'm going to decrement by -1, right? So I'm going to start with the maximum number of cards in the deck, right? That's why this I is equal to the number of cards in the array. Then I'm going to go local j equals random next integer 1 to I, right? So any number between 1 and I, I'm going to get, put it in my variable j, and then I'm going to swap, not table, ARR, I, and j with ARR, j, and I. Now that's not going to work in Java or most other programming languages, but it does work in Lua, and that's really cool, right? So basically we're taking this value in the jth value of the array, sticking it in I, and then taking the ith and sticking it in j, right? All right, now we're going to return our array. How do we call this? The shuffle right here. We're going to just get this here, Control C. I'm going to shuffle at the beginning, put our cards in here, and I'm going to shuffle at the end. Remember, this gets called when this is false. This is false when we hit the very first, we get to the end of the deck and we start over again. So we can put that here too. Cool, let's try it. Let's have a nice shuffled deck. We should look for errors too. Bring up the output window. Oh, it's looking good. I don't see any errors. Yeah, that's pretty decent. I mean, you have 6 cards, so you're not gonna get the most random pattern that you can actually believe, right? We need more cards. How do we get more cards? Well, what I did was I went through and I got the URI for every single one of those cards. I'll put it in the description. That way you don't have to do it. There we go. All of our cards. And also for this little tiny array right here, I got all of those values and all of the colors associated with those values. There's 108 of them. I didn't use the blank cards, which would push it up to 112. I'll paste that right here. Boom. Cool beans. Remember, you can have a comma here or not have a comma here. It's not going to, it'll be all right because it's the last element. I don't put a comma at the last element because some programming languages complain. So I just did my blue here. I'm looking for red lines to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. All right, let's try it. Let's put this on play. Take a look in the output window. I don't want to give you guys any bad code. Flip, flip. Look at that, two wilds together. It's looking good though. I like it. All right, well, good luck with that. If you want to do card games, you should know how to shuffle. You should know how to display cards. You're going to need a UI component. I think this will be very useful. I will see you in the next video.